Like me, senior White House advisors, alter egos of the president, cannot be compelled to testify before Congress.
That is false. Peter Navarro speaking there today, just moments after learning the jury convicted him for exactly that. We're turning now to our deeper reporting on how we got here, because there was nothing inevitable about today's conviction. The DOJ traditionally does not seek criminal penalties for resistant congressional witnesses. But even resistant witnesses rarely do what Navarro and Bannon have now been convicted of. And Mr. Navarro is actually the first Trump aide convicted of anything related to Jan 6 who was in the White House during all the coup plotting. He may not be the last, depending on what happens in the Jack Smith probe and Georgia. Now, those are more complex cases. This one was not. A speedy trial that you can see right here. Jurors picked as the court came back into session after the holiday on Tuesday. Wednesday, they held the trial. Prosecutors took just 3 hours to present their whole case, which is a type of confidence. They're basically saying to the jury, here's the evidence. He defied. That's it. And the defense rested without any witnesses, partly because the judge had already rejected the privilege claim, so no witnesses on that. Today came the closing arguments, and this is the first time I'm able to tell you a little bit about this. We've been juggling the news. The prosecutors today said Navarro chose allegiance to Trump over the subpoena. That's contempt. That is a crime. They added Navarro made a choice not to comply with the subpoena. Our government only works when people play by the rules. That is a prosecutor's way of boiling it all down to saying, hey, if these folks can decide for themselves to break the rules, nothing else will hold. And although people may not think about it on a daily basis, our entire rule of law and court system involves people following requests for facts, evidence, and information. If the subpoena system breaks down, well, much of the rest of the system would too. Navarro's lawyers argued that he was completely distant and had nothing to do with what, quote, happened on January 6th, saying that was abhorrent. Did Navarro have anything to do with the violence? He did not. It is true. There's no evidence that ties Navarro to planning the violence. And in our interviews, he did publicly condemn it. But as this jury clearly understood, he wasn't on trial for that violence. He was on trial, again, for just ignoring, snubbing, and defying the subpoena, a kind of request that millions of people and companies have complied with on matters less important than probing this insurrection. Now, he was convicted regardless of the reasoning, but let me be clear. It didn't help Mr. Navarro's case that he was ducking, one, such an important probe, and two, that he'd given investigators clues of his involvement when detailing part of the coup plot in public, including in our interview last January, where he detailed their sweep or coup plot.
The remedy was for Vice President Pence, as the quarterback in the Green Bay sweep, to remand those votes back to the 6 battleground states.
Do you realize you are describing a coup?
No.
The January 6th committee first subpoenaed Mr. Navarro after that interview. When he defied, the committee cited that interview, among other things, as evidence for holding him in contempt, which the DOJ clearly found credible. That led to his indictment and then today's conviction. We can also tell that, like some other figures in this world who have done things that are blatantly breaking rules or laws and discussing it, which is traditionally called a confession, well, if you understand that mindset, it usually involves people who think they're above the law or don't expect to get held accountable. That appeared to be his mindset right after his very first arrest.
They put me in handcuffs, they bring me here, they put me in leg irons, they stick me in a cell. What they did to me today violated the Constitution.
False. No judge found anything like that, and a jury of his peers have convicted him, and he has been afforded the lawful and peaceful process of a defendant and now a convict. We heard a guest tonight say that this is exactly the kind of outcome that some of these people who are doing these things don't expect, and that there is a kind of Trump or MAGA political emphasis on pretending they'll never get caught for anything, that's become a sales point or a branding pitch. This is something we've discussed in many different ways on this program, and tonight, as this all comes together, I want to give the mic, give the voice on this very issue to someone we heard from who discussed other discrepancies and discrimination in our law and was marveling in a way at how much they seem to be getting away with on simple issues like a subpoena. This is, of course, before Mr. Navarro was ultimately convicted, but this is what Billy Porter said about all this.
If you're subpoenaed, you're required to go or they throw your ass in jail, right? Mm-hmm. Isn't that what it's supposed to be?
Yeah, for just about everybody.
What's happening?
Yeah.
I don't understand what's happening. It's like, it's simple. Throw their asses in jail. I don't understand why they're not in jail. If I didn't show up for a subpoena, they would throw my black gay ass under the jail immediately. These people are walking free.
There have been a lot of double standards. That was a very direct way to call it out. Today, in this case, on this issue, well, Mr. Navarro is convicted and he does face up to 2 years in jail.